light. It's so beautiful. Miss Dyer's been so dedicated to the Spanish WhatsApp group and to translating everything. And she contacted me before this session to say, is there something I can translate? That's so beautiful. And what I realized is I really don't have a clue what and to be so filled with love, like this is what Jesus is giving for all of us, to be so filled with love, like we don't have to give a thought about what we're going to say. We can just say his words and let him speak through us, because that's our function. If we're called here to these light circles, we're called to speak that. That's our voice, our natural voice, the no planning voice. I've mentioned that before, how as a quote unquote trainer for Tony Robbins. So you would get so trained on what you're going to say, and you had to practice and practice and practice and practice 100,000 times to get it right, you know, as part of that pattern of getting everything right. Let's just check in, see if there's anything left in there on Jesus, is there any desire below my level of awareness to get something right? I want to, please show it to me. And we let them just with that pinpoint accuracy. And that's the experience of the beings that are jumping on those joining calls using that worksheet. They're just showing how Jesus just is taking out the forests and the trees and the continents with those joining sessions. What happened? Whole surgical precision of the one who knows is what's happening, because we calling him to us. And letting him control the miracle. You can see the power when he controls the miracle. We think we can control. Consciousness wants to control those miracles. And you start seeing, oh my gosh, I don't have a clue which miracles I need. Well, and he's telling everyone, I just love that. It's just been so great to hear everybody speaking Jesus. Oh my gosh. Or he's telling them, you just don't know anything. I love it. It's such a great reminder. Thank you for saying that. Don't know jack about anything. And the light of divine being and honesty of God, like when we really look at the as the light. Is anything in there? And also the reflections mighty, like he's fulfilling every promise with us, every promise to show that it's nothing. It's so beautiful. I think Styra was saying, and we went down there and there's nothing down there. It's like, how fantastic is this? This is the voice that we've been fighting. I don't want to talk to Jesus, for whatever the play in consciousness is. Because the value, as he says, we value, consciousness values. There's no one valuing it. It's a play in consciousness to value the no more than more than what light, the light that we are. And now we can just laugh at the end of these sessions. Everybody said, we've just started laughing because it's hilarious. That's something so obvious that we struggled and fought and tried to get Jesus away from us so he couldn't take the scissors. Like, no, I want my scissors. And then you go down, oh, Jesus, that's, I've been poking my eyes out with that pair of scissors for a long time. Okay, so let's just ask him, Jesus, is there? At least we can laugh about it now. He's saying, just be light, really. This has been a bundle of seriousness for no reason whatsoever, he says. Big old fat bundle of nothing. But now that we're willing to listen and we have each other, because every being here can, there's no exceptions. Every being here can hear him. Just ask him, Jesus, in the light of divine being, can I hear you? Okay, Jesus, in the light of divine being and honesty of God, will you show me where I don't want to hear you? That's what he wants to talk about today, actually. where we don't, where we don't want to listen. Okay. Let's just check in with them. Okay, Jesus, do I have a desirable not to listen sometimes? Or am I listening to you all the time? When he tells you, no, you're not. You can just, okay. Okay, so will you show us the conditions, the lower level of awareness that make what beliefs make it okay not to listen? That you know more than God? That's what he said. Okay. Jesus. These will smoke you, really. Okay. Okay, so Jesus, is there any desire below my level of awareness to have an experience of knowing, trying to know more than God? Can you help me with that? Okay. He never says no when we ask. Is he reminding me? We don't ask him enough. Let's ask him. We'll ask the divine light. Jesus, in the light of divine being, do we ask you enough for help? Am I asking you enough for your help? He's going to tell you. Can I ask you for more things? Okay. Will you even like tell me which things I could ask you for help for? See, he's going to go, yes. Okay, Jesus, tell me what things you're willing to help me with. There you go. I just heard everything. There isn't anything. So yeah, someone was really surprised that they could ask Jesus for everything. You know, that I guess, I don't know what I was asking him. I mean, I asked him if I'm passing a doorway, am I to go outside? I mean, and I'm asking him, is it helpful to be that specific? And he says, yes. Because we can see when we're working with them, how the mind, we've talked about this and we can laugh about it, but it's totally true. The mind just wants to like drift off into a new cloud. I'd rather be, oh my goodness, what a great garden that was I went to see yesterday. You know, it's anything other than the direct-o-matic, right with the one who knows. When he starts pointing down, okay, now look at this desire. And again, that's why our brothers are so helpful on these joining session. I'm gonna keep saying, he's just saying joining. Pull out the worksheet. Can't remember who that was put on the group. I heard directly from Jesus to use these worksheets, and the answer is yes. And then it becomes, you know, and then you don't need a worksheet, but he knows it's helpful to keep the mind focused because of we like mind wandering. We can ask him, Jesus, do I like mind wandering? He'll tell you directly that you do. Jesus, can you help me with the mind wandering? You can ask him. He says it's just where you value. It's just where your value is. It's part of the play in consciousness to pretend like the light's not here. But it's such a habit. It's such a habit to go, as everyone's reporting. I'm really noticing where we were talking about there being 2 courtrooms, the higher court of God, infinite. We can sit in the infinite, just sit in infinite and feel in we can recognize infinite because it's here now. And see that the light has no judgment whatsoever. Does the light have any judgment? Infinite, unchanging light. And then we were talking this morning, because it was last judgment, of course, we were talking about that and how we like the judgment of going down the hall to the room of hell down there and sitting in the judge and the jury. And so some beings were talking about how they were noticing themselves trying to sneak out. But at least, see, here's the thing. At least we see it. Because before, it felt natural to go and sit in, Joker movie live. Live instant replay. The Joker movie feels real. But now that we're light trained, go to the light first, see that you're light, place everything in the light that's not light to see that there's nothing other than light. And then ask me, I'll show you where you're denying that you are light. So you can admit it. That's honesty of God. Like, you can admit it. All right, you're right, Jesus. No light for me today. That's the play. The play is not to have light. You can ask Jesus, Jesus, I still desire not to experience myself as infinite light. It says, and I'm offering you all the glory of heaven here. But if you won't leave, if you stay so fully associated with the courtroom of death over there, I can come in, I can whisper in your ear. But we really like that little fiefdom, he says, that little fiefdom of nothingness, he says in a new covenant. The consciousness loves playing there. Jesus, do I like playing in the fiefdom of nothingness? Yes. Might as well be honest. Jesus, do I desire an experience of suffering below my level of awareness? Is there a desire to suffer? And let them, okay, we admit it. What's under that suffering? See, suffering, all emotions are just the cover over. We can ask them. Again, it's really good to see this. A number of you have been such great reflections about how you're starting to see that all those emotions like sadness or depression or fear were all just that play. You're starting to see the play and go below it with him to desire. And let's just ask him, because it's helpful to be reminded that what he's offering is a fearless look. That it is possible as a supreme being to look fearlessly with him and never experience fear again. You can ask him that. Jesus, is it possible to look at these things with you without fear? And hear what he says. Need I experience fear to spiritually awaken? And hear what he says. No. Not if you look with me at below the level of fear. Fear is just the smoke screen. Ask him, is fear a smoke screen, Jesus? It's a smoke screen to try to keep a piece of personal identity. So you can ask him that. Jesus, is fear a smoke screen so I can try and avoid looking and so I can hang on to a piece of personal identity? Okay, just admit it. All right, you're right. Will you show it to me? Then there's a place to start when we ask him and then admit it. It just opens up the gates of heaven, because we're no longer denying that we're denying infinite. I'm asking him, do you want to, said it is valuable to talk about the other reasons, all the reasons, and this is a really good joining opportunity. Like to have that board lit, the joining in light, that little messenger group lit all day. It's like a hot spot for joining, particularly on not wanting to hear that voice. because he'll take you right to why, all the reasons why I don't want to hear it. It's always about a piece, it's always a piece of personal identity. He'll tell you that. Ask him, Jesus, if I'm not listening to you, does that mean I have a piece of personal identity I want to hold on to? What? And avoid you like the plague. Hear what he said. That's why we avoid Jesus. Avoiding Jesus, and some beings have mentioned this, and he'll tell them directly, but they'll mention, well, there's some image. See, it's an outpicturing of that character. First of all, there's a lot of times it's just ask them, do I have an outpicturing of who I think you are in my mind? Is there a picture in my mind, an image of who I think you are? That's usually where he starts. He says, who do you think I am? It's a good thing to ask him. Jesus, who do I think you are? Who do I think you are? He's an outpicturing of what we don't want to see about ourselves. Remember how he says in the Course, how you feel about listening to me, well, is how you feel about, or listening, how you feel about your brother is how you feel about God. Because it's how you feel about yourself, because there's only one. So the resistance to Jesus is only the resistance to light. It's a play. And so it's good to keep reminding, okay, so let's see, is the infinite light here? Is it going anywhere? Is it telling you it's going to take a vacation soon? See, it doesn't move. We're always trying to take a vacation from the light, pretend it's good when it's really hell. Jesus, do I have a desire for an experience to escape the light? To try to escape light. So I'm willing to see it. If there's any remnant. So I can laugh when whatever he shows me, because he's always right. He's always right. But then you're the happy learner. You laughing because he's asked him, Jesus, when you show me something, do you want me to feel bad? Is he asking us to feel bad? He's just saying, see, he's only asking us to accept the power we've always had, supremacy, supreme being. He's reminding me about weakness. He says, you don't listen to me because you want to stay weak. Let's ask him. Jesus. We already know the answer to that one. Jesus, am I not listening to you because I want to stay weak? Is there any desire to stay weak below my level of awareness? If it comes up, all right, admit it. So all these things are just really powerful places to ask them, to have a joining session, jump on with a brother and just let him take his little eraser out and just help wash away all the reasons, every reason not to totally listen to him. Jesus will ask him, because he'll tell you for sure, 100%. Jesus, am I avoiding hearing your voice because I want to avoid supreme happiness? And here you're gonna we feel like we must be crazy when you hear him tell you you're avoiding speaking to me because you don't want supreme happiness. Come on. Might as well admit. Here's we want to avoid our own identity of infinite light. That's a good one to hear from them. We thought Joker was crazy. crazy because we're not listening to that one, because there's an image of what that represents. That's the whole functioning in consciousness, to make this an idea about a man who lived. And I think I told that story. How I remember, Jesus, this is really good. I think he was first talking to me. And this is really, okay, listen to you, but it didn't look like it turned out so well for you. that's a conversation I'm having with him. It didn't look like it ended so well. But that's the play in consciousness. See, we want to have that play of death, that the very symbol of everlasting life in the mind be death. Do you see that play? That the interpretive and function, and it's not going to be a good death, it's going to be a horrible death. So that for fear, that's why he points it back to us. See that you want to crucify yourself. So let's just check in and see how that's going. Jesus, is there a desire below the level of my awareness to try and continue to crucify myself? Okay, can you show me where that is? Any little twitch, he says, is crucifixion. The tiniest twitch. And like I told you when he told me. See, now I can laugh about it. But when he told me, you're too tolerant of all that. Too tolerant. And you start to see how tolerant we are of tolerating all that silliness and the kerfuffling of consciousness. Jesus, will you show me, am I still too tolerant? He says, when you don't follow me, you're being tolerant of all that noise. That's why it has to be 100%, because a little bit of toleration is 100% toleration of death. Well, it's 100%. There's no, I know there was such a, just to talk about that all the time. Like, Jesus, well, ask him. You can ask him. Jesus, do I have a desire to toe dip divinity? Just kind of stick just a little bit, not all the way in. I just want to like test it. You can't test it. You got to be in or in. Let's ask the light. Okay. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, infinite light, infinite. That's what he's saying. Stay infinite. When he says stay with me, that means infinite. That means no limitation. That means infinite light. You are light, infinite, unchanging light. Now he gives that contrast again in the courtroom of God's courtroom. See, in the infinite light of being, does infinite light judge anything? You see that there's no judgment in there. Is infinite light, just notice as you're focusing on infinite light, how you feel. Do you experience peace? In light, infinite light. Is infinite light looking around for something to do? I mean, it's so beautiful, the reflections in these expressions. When the realization, when we're talking to Jesus, so that what he's telling us, it blooms in our hearts. That's why he calls these light circles revelation readiness. Because we're ready for the revelatory experience that we're light itself. Infinite light. He says, do not pass go, see that you're light now. Infinite. Can you find a border on infinite light anywhere? Is there a lock or a key on infinite light? Can we find one? So it's merely a thought arises and we staple ourselves to it like it's real. And that's what he means by going outside in the hall, leaving God's court, higher court of infinite, see no error, and then walking down the hall and going, oh, this room looks good in here with the judge and the jury and the plaintiff and the one who's the one attacker and the attackee and the witnesses to the attack and the attackee and the judge, and then see, Jesus, am I playing all the characters? Ask them in that courtroom. Is there any character in that courtroom that I haven't miscreated? Not a one. So now he's getting really real with us and saying, okay, you love that courtroom. But if we admit it, then it's honesty of God. You're right, Jesus. I'm really addicted to coming down the hall and, seeing who gets thrown in prison this week. CSI, love it. The Who Done It movie. Anybody who done it other than me in that movie? Who's doing it to me today? And that's what we don't want to see. That's all he's trying to show us, is that nobody done it. It's a play in consciousness, and you're innocent in the play. And let's just ask them too, because that's what we don't want to see, is that we're innocent. Because that would then stop the play. Because we couldn't try to usurp the power of God. We couldn't have as much what we think is fun, pleasure, which isn't fun. We can ask them, is going into that courtroom down the hall, Jesus, am I trying to usurp the power of God? He says that in the Course. You believe you can usurp the power of God. So we at least can, thus you desire an experience of usurping the power of God. So let's just ask them, Jesus, is there any desire to usurp the power of God anymore below my level of awareness? Will you help me with that? See through that? So we need to spend that. That's the use, pure use of time. Ask him. You can ask him because everybody can hear him. Jesus, is this the most effective use of time? Going with him to see where the denials are. And joining with our brother to hear the voice and speak the voice. What he's telling us. Here's what you need to look at and look here. And are you ready for a miracle? No, hold it. Hold. Okay, now you're ready. Which miracles to perform? See, I always thought when I first read the Course that the miracles to perform, I was going to go out and do miracles. I don't know if I thought I'd part water or, churn. I didn't know about that. What I didn't see was, he said there may, that can appear, in the functioning, in the movement of the Christ through. But remember, he says miracles are not to introduce spectacle. And that's the world's definition of what miracles are. The world's definition is spectacle, a change in form. I had a miraculous healing of the body. He's going, ask him, Jesus, is healing of the body a miracle? And hear him tell you no. So it's only a miracle is, what does he say in the Course? A change in perception. What the other piece, till he really, started with this, what a real miracle is when he's in control of it. That's a miracle. We can have miracles all that we want, but because of the play in consciousness to deny miracles, we have to give all the power of the miracle to him for the speed. He says consciously chosen miracles are misguided. And that's the favorite thing for the consciousness to do, is try to control miracles. We still have the power to have miracles, change in perception, but the ego will run you on a rat race. Which miracles perform? Oh, I'll just perform. No, we have to let the one who knows guide them, because it's really learning the power. First of all, so many things you'll see, the ability to hear his voice, to let him speak through you also, and exactly what we need to look at and see that it's just divine expression. We're not expressing for someone. We're not trying to change anyone. The miracle is not one miracle passed from me to you. That's the idea that plays in consciousness. And he's saying, no, the miracle is to look within, to see what's been denied, cease to deny it, and ask for change in the perception of the denial. And then let me, because he's teaching us about Christ control as well. So clear hearing him and what Christ control truly is. So that also when he's sending you out, which he keeps telling me, and what we really want to start hearing through each other in these is those assignments coming. To accept the power of divinity and have divinity expressed through, and he will be giving out assignments in that regard. And so we can really support each other to really listen and follow him. He says we can do anything, you can do anything I ask. Let's just ask the light, does the light have a challenge doing anything that Jesus asks? Infinite light. So he's just pointing out how powerful we are as divine beings. That's all he ever does, really. Say, you're light, you have divine power. And he's just showing us where below our level of awareness in the subconscious mind, we're trying to control love, control the miracle, the expression of divinity, to see our innocence. Jesus, will you show me, do I want to deny that I'm innocent? Is there any desire below my level of awareness to say, I'm not innocent? Okay, will you look with me with that? And see, he never says no. He would never say no. That's his function in the atonement. And he's really being very clear. That's coming through everybody. It's so many beings. He's being very clear about what his role is in the atonement. You let me handle it. So we can ask him, Jesus, will you handle everything so I can just look? He says, right now that's your function. And then there'll be other functions. Our function right now is to look together with him and just really learn. And it just, that deep relationship develops, that he's here to help us and that we can all hear him. And that there's no one who can't hear him. So he's saying, even if you think you're shy or any of that play in consciousness, really step into this joining. This is the path given by him for supreme happiness. For here. To look directly at every denial. Now it's just ask him, Jesus, is there anything else you'd like to say? Just that you're loved. And he's just offering it's the best love affair ever. The joy that's beyond this world, the joy of infinite. He keeps saying you just can't know. You can't know. The idea you have can never know infinite. See that the idea we have of ourselves does not, in the infinite light, do those coexist? Does any kind of suffering or pain coexist with infinite light in our direct experience as light beings? Can we find any pain in light? The light have a little light pain pocket in there. We want to see, because that's what the ego is going to try and convince us of. That to go to the light is painful. That's the play. That's a really good one. Spend time with him on that one. Jesus, do I have any desire below my level of awareness for awakening to be painful? Do I have any desire below my level of awareness to suffer in spiritual awakening? Do I have any desire for an experience of sacrifice for spiritual awakening? That's another great one to spend some time with. Let him go in on surgical. I need Jesus surgery. Find where that sacrifice is, because when he goes in, it is like a roto-rooter. You'll see he clears the deck. You see it. He just completely, he's taken us. It's good. You can look at beliefs, and that can be a start. It's always helpful whenever we're willing to give the smallest thing over. But just see that, can any belief arise without the desire for it? This is the direct, just direct. And when you develop that relationship, that speaking relationship, you're not going to be in fear. I mean, kerfuffling can arise and what, but you're going to know, because he'll tell you right now, he tells all of us, Jesus, does fear arise because I don't want to listen to you? Because I don't want to look. Is that why fear? Yes, it's something we don't want to look at. Ask him. It's just we don't want to look. So if you get in a new habit of really constantly looking with him, it's just the happier and happier, the happy learner. And you're just going to laugh when he shows you something. I'm asking him. He says yes. When he shows you, you're just going to laugh. Because you know he's right, and you're happy that he's right, and you're wrong. Jesus, do I have any desire below my level of awareness to make you wrong? You're laughing, Lazy. To make myself wrong for listening to the voice for God. He says, you can hear me, like he told me. You can hear me. Don't pretend like you can, like you can't hear me. Just ask him. It's hilarious. Jesus, am I pretending sometimes like I can't hear you? And hear him tell you, yes, you are. But it's okay. He still loves you. He's still standing there, but he knows we're going to suffer. That's why he says this need not be. You're only pretending not to hear me because you want to preserve a little piece of personal identity, which is personal hell. Ask him, Jesus, am I trying to preserve my own little sense of personal hell? See what he says. But at least we can admit that we want that. I want my little piece. Don't give me supreme happiness, Jesus, under no circumstance. But at least we can be the happy learner. Just laugh and see, oh my gosh, I've got, I keep thinking I get those images, like he tells you we have scissors, but you realize whatever those movies are, when they're walking through trying to get through the security system, and then they open up their jacket and they've got like bazookas and guns and like, then they have to reach back and pull that knife out from behind the back of their shoe. we're like fighting Jesus for all of that. And he loves us anyway. He loves us anyway. So good. So much love for everyone. Thank you for joining. Just to have a little laugh about what never happened. Amen. Love from San Juan Kosala. Love you.